Good morning, everybody, and welcome back. My name is Joel, and this is A Stable Life. All right, so to start things off, I ended up having a bit of a problem with my camera, and the first couple clips of this video didn't record any audio. Here we are. I'm gonna just give you guys a kind of brief idea as to what we're seeing. Right off the bat, I can tell you it's cold. It's really cold. And since it is so cold, we did have to make some adjustments with the grain that we're feeding the horses just to make sure that none of them are losing any of their weight. And the same goes for hay. We need to make sure that all of the horses are getting an adequate amount of hay to keep their weight on in the cold weather. So Spitfire's up here in the lower arena because he's got a little bit of an abscess on his hoof, but he is recovering nicely. And of course, you guys got to be able to see the donkeys. Buster and Rocky are doing fantastic as ever, as we're giving them some food, making sure that they stay nice and warm, of course, in these cold temperatures as well. Here you can see the horses ate a lot of hay out of the feeder. What's pretty cool is the core of one of the round bales they left intact. So I'm just rolling all of this hay over to the other side of the feeder just so the horses can polish that all off to make room for a second bale to put in. And that's gonna be right about where we are able to pick things up with the original video audio. All right, so since we're taking some round bales out before we let the horses out, we need to fire up the old girl and get her warmed up. There we go, much better. All right, so my battery died, so I'm sorry if the clip just ended abruptly while putting hay out, but it's cold out there, so it's negatively affecting the batteries pretty hard. So, that being said, we are inside the barn now, and all of the horses want to get out of it. So we're just gonna work on fixing Roni's strap here. Let's see here. So we're just gonna grab this guy and attempt to do this with a frozen one hand. There we go. Very good. Done. It's just that easy. Right, Ronnie?
No problem. You got some hay on your face. Huh?
Before these horses destroy the barn, I'm going to let them out. Now, something to keep in mind today when it comes to turning out the horses is because it's so cold, there is no grass that they're eating. So they are only eating hay. There's nothing wrong with them only eating hay. In fact, hay is great for them. However, it does make them thirsty. So we got to make sure that they're able to get a drink of water on their way out. So similar to when it's excessively hot out and we turn out the horses at a slow rate so that all of the horses are guaranteed to get a drink, we're gonna be doing that same thing with the winter, making sure that we only turn out 3 or 4 at a time, let them get a drink, and then once they've all gotten a drink and moved on, then we'll turn out another 3 or 4. Donkeys are just gonna have to chill down there for a little bit, same with Tucker. So we're gonna start over on the other side of the barn with Swede and then slowly work our way over around the barn. Come on, Scoots. So I haven't set up a time lapse in quite a little bit of time, mainly to give you guys a little bit of a change on how things are when it comes to feeding. But today I'm gonna set up a time lapse so you can see the horses coming out and getting a little drink of water before they head out into the pasture. All the horses are turned out with the exception of Spitfire, and the reason being Spitfire is going in the lower arena because of that abscess that we talked about earlier this morning. So these two guys are going to be drinking some water and then heading on out. And the rest of the horses are all out there. And then these two got to head down. Right, Scoots? Just so I don't confuse anybody, that's not her name. Well, that's my name for her. Her name is Leia, L-E-I-A. And Leia is a Shar-Pei Shiba Inu cross. I call her Pup. She's not a puppy. She's actually been here for quite a long time, over a decade. And she's a wise old dog, that's for sure. And we love having her. So Scoots is my name for her. Oh my goodness, a deer. There's a buck that just went running through the cow pasture over here. That's funny. So a buck, I don't know if I'll get it on camera. I just saw him duck down into the cow pasture. And if you guys can see over there, there's hunters right there. They're all getting ready to head into the woods that way, and they have no idea that a buck just went this way. Well, that's funny. You ready, Spitfire? Let's get that arena set up for him and let him out. And then it's lunchtime. Oh, there we go. In case you're wondering, this lock here by this door has been here as long as I've been here. I mean, I remember as a little boy, I didn't have the strength to be able to close that thing and unhook it. I remember getting older and getting the strength to be able to actually unhook it and hook it was such a big deal to me. It's funny, the little things that you don't ever think of until one day all the memories flood back to you. Boy, I'll tell you what, those horses' blankets are doing a mighty fine job on keeping them warm. We got Fire set up now. He's in the lower arena. As you guys can see, he's using Argento's stall. I just cleaned the stall so it's nice and fresh for him. Gave him a nice good amount of hay. And I let him right into the stall so he didn't even have to walk around. And then of course he's got the back access there. Well, I'll tell you what, guys, it definitely feels like winter has arrived early. It's getting cooled outside. It's sitting around 33 degrees Fahrenheit, or pretty close to 0 on the Celsius scale. And it's not even like winter. We're still in the season of fall, so that's pretty crazy. But the horses are all blanketed well. They've got plenty of food to keep them occupied. And a lot of these guys are just sleeping. So they're doing well. They're doing well. We're going to be working on cleaning that pasture this afternoon. And I'm thinking I might be borrowing Grandpa's skid steer, or my Uncle Brian's skid steer, to do that, because he's got a closed cab and it's got heat. Which would be quite nice. I'm used to working on my tractor out in the cold, but today, to be honest, I really just, the idea is not the best, especially with the camera and everything. If I could borrow the skid steer, that'd be nicer. If I can't, then we'll work with what we got, right? I don't have a cab tractor. This is some of the downsides to that. All right, let's go up and see how the wife's doing and enjoy some grub, shall we? I have a chicken panini waiting for me, so I think it's calling my name. For lunch today, we're having leftovers. So I'm having actually Megan's chicken panini, which is pretty fire. We got it from a local Italian restaurant, as well as some chocolate milk. And what are you having, hon?
I have an English muffin with pumpkin chai whipped honey and butter.
Wow. Which would you prefer of the two? I'm curious. You can tell the differences between us, that's for sure. How's the day going in the store, by the way?
It's pretty busy. We got our turkey order today.
Oh, okay. So that's coming up. Mm-hmm. Are you ready for the Thanksgiving rush?
We'll see.
We'll see. That's going to be on that note that I'll see you guys back at the stable. Alrighty, guys. Good news. I talked with Grandpa, and he's going to let us use the skid steer loader to clean that pasture. I'm so happy. It was so windy and my hands were frozen. What makes it cold is the wind. The wind really just whipping up through that hollow, coming up over the knoll on the mountain there, and then right up against those trees. It gets to you. It gets to you. So being in a cab that has heat, much more preferred. 100, do you mind just holding my jacket for me? Thanks. All right, we'll let that warm up for a little bit. And then we'll button all of this up, get my jacket back here. So you gotta start thinking about those things as the temperatures are going down. Tomorrow is the day we're really prepping for cold weather. It's supposed to be in the mid-20s at the high for tomorrow. And they're calling for high winds, around 30, 40 mile an hour wind gusts, and a constant wind of 20 mile an hour. So tomorrow's gonna be fun. In regards to, are we gonna keep the horses in for that? No, the blankets do an amazing job of keeping them warm. Not to mention the horses have their own winter coats as well. We really only have to keep them in when their blankets get soaked, because then the blanket doesn't do anything, and then that's where the wind becomes a problem. So horses will be fine with the wind. It's me that doesn't have the thick winter coat that's when it becomes more of a concern. Well, all right, I'm gonna get started cleaning. I don't have a cameraman today, it's just me, and with the skid steer getting in and out, it's actually pretty cumbersome between the door and the seat belt to get camera shots. And it's so cold that my camera will not last at all for a time lapse. So I'm gonna work on cleaning it up and I'll show you guys the results after I'm finished. I'll see you guys in a flash. Big question I got actually quite a bit, now that I think about it, is a lot of you guys were wondering, how can you tell if a horse is sleeping standing up? Well, it's actually quite easy. If you take a look at them, Skywalker is not asleep right now, but he is close to being asleep. If I get too close to him, then he'll actually get out of that gesture, so I have to keep it that way. But if you look over at Suede here, and Duke and Obi, notice how their eyes look tired, okay? Duke is actually doing perfect. So what they'll do is they'll maintain that for a while, and then as it gets quiet, they'll just close their eyes and hang their head, standing just like that. And that's how you can tell they are sleeping standing up. The other way is that they'll lay down just like Argento here and sleep that way. All right, so I just wanted to give you guys an update as to how things are looking. As you guys can tell, I have the middle pasture scraped. I don't have the manure taken out. This whole area scraped here down to, well, rock basically, or really packed dirt. All the manure and all the hay is taken off and scraped over to the side. And then we have the round bale feeder moved over and a round bale put inside it for these guys to be able to munch up. And they're no longer sleeping, they're wide awake. And as you can see, they are eating good. So let's see, based on what I can count right now, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 horses eating out of the big feeder, and 1, 2, 3, 4 horses eating out of the small feeder. There goes George and Mila. Champ's down there picking up some grass here and there, and Weather is sleeping. This is what I was talking about earlier with the horses. You can see the heads arched. You can see how he is steady, and his ears are gonna be droopy. He's not asleep right now because I'm talking. If just the slightest noise will wake them up. But they'll take little 20-minute cat naps. You know, so he'll park there and sleep for about 20 minutes, and then he'll go over and eat. And then some horse will come out here and then they'll park there and sleep for about 20 minutes. And they can do that because of the safety of the herd. So that's pretty cool stuff. Things started off rather smoothly with cleaning the big field, just as they were with the middle field. We were moving along quite nicely, but eventually things turned from moving along nicely to not so nice. Cleaning up around the feeder, I had to be a little careful, making sure that I didn't hit any of the horses. They wanted to eat the hay out of the feeder as much as possible, so I had to be slow when navigating around them. But eventually I ended up getting too close to the manure pile where you could see me dumping everything on the back there, and my side 2 tires got sunk into the side, and before I knew it, I was stuck. Thankfully, with a quick phone call and some ingenuity, Daniel showed up a little bit later on, and with my tractor and a chain, together, we were able to get the skid steer out of the manure pile. Aside for some embarrassment, things were able to move along quite nicely in a little bit. I decided to get back in the skid steer so that I could finish things up, and just as I was about to wrap things up, I discovered an old metal fence post left from a previous fence that was taken down, and it ended up going right through the tire on the skid steer, creating a flat tire, and ended up proving to be quite a rough afternoon. Guys, I do have some good news to cheer me up. My wife has come down because I'm so far behind schedule, and she's helping me feed in the cold, and she wasn't prepared to be outside today, so the fact that she's helping me is a major win, and it's cheering me up quite a bit, so I really appreciate it. We got all the horses in, and things are moving good, at least for once today. Alrighty guys, we're just about wrapped up. Megan's bringing over Spitfire. His stall is set and ready for him. All of the horses are turned out, and I have some good news. It does sound like Grandpa, or Uncle Brian as I know him, is going to be using my tractor in the meantime to feed his cows silage and to take care of whatever they need over there. So that does make me feel a little bit better. And my wife helped me feed. We got things done actually relatively quickly. All the horses are out and where they need to be. Everything is set. We just got to turn on the heaters for the water bowl and for the water trough. But that is going to mark an end to today. So it's going to be on that awesome note that's going to be where we're drawing it into the video for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't, don't forget to hit that like button and make sure that you're subscribed. It keeps you up to date on all the future videos coming out where I make mistakes and stuff happens to me and you get to watch what happens. So, you know, that's just great. And as always, I'll see you
in the next one.
And I got even better news before we end the video. Check it out. The skid steer's fixed. Woo! So we're back in action.